Let's do some guitar anyway. What's going on, JC? What's going on, man? I woke up this morning and the fight's still not announced. Oh, but DStyle, we gotta be. I've been patient. I've been waiting for months for Kambosos to fight somebody. Okay, it's what I'm waiting on. I've been waiting, ladies and gentlemen. I've been waiting, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on, SSC? How's it going, brother? You're going for Kambosos? I mean, that sounds all well and good, but the question is Haney going to sign a contract? That's the question. Ladies and gentlemen, Kambosos has sent an offer, a contract to Devin Haney. That's just a known thing, okay? The contract has been sent. The question is Devin Haney gonna sign it? I believe he's gonna sign it. Am I wrong? Am I falling for the cap? It's going out to Sonteo. Is Devin Haney gonna sign on the dotted line? Is the question. Pretty simple to me, right? It's pretty. The whole situation is pretty simple to me. It wasn't that long ago that it was. You know, you guys remember Carpenter came out, said, "Hey, this fight with Lomachenko is official. It's gonna happen." Right? It's what was said. All of a sudden, the Haney's energy changed when they realized the fight was going to go, or it looked like the fight was going to go to Lomachenko. Haney came out and said, "You know what? I'll take the same thing Loma took. If he took a pay cut to make this fight happen, I'll take it. If he took a pay cut to make it happen, I'll take that. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take that." That's what he said. He said he will take a pay cut. He said he will take less money. If that's what Lomachenko accepted. And they said this very publicly, by the way. We all know Lomachenko decided to stay in Ukraine. Best wishes to Lomachenko. I hope he's going to be okay. Ukraine is a mess right now. It's at war right now. But we know Lomachenko is not going to leave to go fight Kambosos in Australia. Now they're talking about Usyk. Is Usyk going to do it? I don't know. But obviously, Kambosos now his only option. Because Tank is fighting Romero. Loma's defending his country over there. The only guy left is really Haney. Of the three guys he said he was going to fight, right? So he has officially sent an offer to Devin Haney. According to Devin Haney, Kambosos was backed into a corner and forced to do this. He was shamed into doing this. According to Kambosos, he had already offered to fight several times to no avail. Well, not AAA. It was a couple weeks ago. Ladies and gentlemen, Kambosos has said, let's forget about the past. Let's forget about if Kambosos or was it Haney who was playing games. All we know is this. Haney said, I'll take the same offer you offered Lomachenko. Right? I'm hearing that the whole issue is not the money. Okay, so it's not the money. So what is it? It's the rematch clause. Specifically, a one-sided rematch clause. Specifically, the rematch happening in Australia if Kambosos does in fact lose. That's what Lomachenko was going to accept before the situation in Ukraine. Haney said he would take the same contract Lomachenko would take. If Devin Haney refuses to sign because he doesn't agree with the rematch clause, then I will have no sympathy for Devin Haney. His fans might have some sympathy for him. The people that side with Devin Haney, no matter what, might have some sympathy for him. I will have zero sympathy for Devin Haney if he does not sign just because there's a rematch clause. Because he said he will take the same thing that Loma was offered. Loma was going to take that offer because he beat you to the offer, right? And you say, you know what? I will take the same thing. All right? You've been sent the offer. If the only thing holding you back, unless you're offering you less than they offer Lomachenko, unless that's the case, I don't want to hear it. I just don't. Just like I told Kambosos, be a man of your word and fight Haney like you said you would. I'm going to keep the same energy for Devin Haney. Be a man of your word and accept the contract that Lomachenko would have accepted. Unless you could show me that it's not the same thing, unless you could expose Kambosos that way, I don't want to hear it. Point blank period. You've been offered a fight. Take the fight. Oh no, but Haney feels that. Oh, Bill Haney said that he doesn't like it's too one-sided. Blah 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 blah. Sign a contract. All right. Let's do it. You're not a mandatory. This is a voluntary fight. You're the one that wants those belts. You're not really in a position of leverage. It's not like you have legions of fans over here. Okay? You're in the position you're in to go ahead and to get an undisputed fight. That's the position you're in. And you said you would accept the same thing that Loma would have accepted. Don't go on changing the goalpost here. Because I ain't going to be calling you no boogeyman if you're not signing that contract. If that's the only thing. And that's just the reality, guys. He's been offered something. He should take it. And if he's not going to take it, then it's time for you to move on. If you're not going to take this offer, maybe you should just go to 140 and go campaign over there then. You're never going to become undisputed. Not at 135. You need to sign that contract. And I do believe, ladies and gentlemen, that Devin Haney will sign that contract. I am not going to believe that Devin Haney will not sign this, basically his legacy, at least at 135 on a dotted line, in a fight that he would be favored in, I believe. A fight that I believe he would win against Kambosos. I refuse to believe that Devin Haney will not sign that contract. It's not a guarantee now, right? But it would be a tough fight for Haney. But I believe he could come out on top. And I believe, and it's DStyleBoxing being played by believing that Devin Haney will sign that contract. It's DStyleBoxing Have I lost my mind in believing that Devin Haney will sign that contract, will sign on that dotted line? Have I lost my mind? Witness the hoax says, if Kambosos didn't send a contract, Haney's team would be calling Kambosos a duck. We got to keep that same energy if you don't sign. I believe he will sign. If he doesn't sign, I'll address that when that happens, but I don't believe that's going to happen. I do believe Devin Haney will sign. We should all be optimistic. Maybe I shouldn't be optimistic, but I'm going to be optimistic that Devin Haney will sign this contract. It's because he's been saying, hey, no, nobody. I just keep hearing nobody wants to fight him. Nobody wants to offer him anything. This, and that. Okay, well, here it is. Here's the opportunity to sign this contract. Go out there and make a statement. It's your opportunity to do that. Omar E asks if Haney refuses to fight Kambosos, do you think Kambosos will fight Ryan? Probably. Rashid Johnson saying, so hating on my brother Haney. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a creative troll, but it's a troll nonetheless. Right? Definitely no hate here. I believe that Devin Haney will sign that contract. He will sign on that dotted line, and we're going to get Kambosos versus Haney. I believe that's what's going to happen. Right? And I think most Devin Haney fans believe that's what's going to happen. And I understand that a lot of other people don't believe that's going to happen, but I'm going to try to stay optimistic. You know what I mean? But that's all I will say about that. Simple as that. Jesse's asking something. When he's going to go back to the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy. He wants to be sent as a bag handler. Like he'll carry Sontil's bags. What's going on? Oh man. Well, there you go. Look, I'm going to be optimistic, ladies and gentlemen. And I understand maybe I shouldn't be optimistic, but I'm going to be optimistic. I don't know, Fight Doctor, Fight Doctor Haney's going to sign that contract. I know Fight Doctor's optimistic. I believe he is. I think we're going to get this fight, guys. In Australia. You know what I mean? In Australia. This is where this is going to happen, but yeah. But look, I wonder what the Fight Doctor thinks. Does the Fight Doctor believe that Devin Haney, now that he's been sent an offer, right, that's more than adequate, we're just waiting on Devin Haney to sign? You know, I do believe he's going to sign. Why wouldn't he sign? There's no good reason not to sign. Can anybody come up with a good reason why Devin Haney hasn't signed a contract? Or why he won't? There is no good reason. There just isn't. It wouldn't be the first time people sign. You know, like it's. Look, Anthony Joshua does rematch clauses, and look, rematch clauses is a whole other conversation. But well, Fight Doctor, I mean, what do you mean, Fight Doctor? Like, what undisputed doesn't make sense? Now, if Fight Doctor wants, it's completely up to him. You click on the link, and we're going to have this conversation. But what's a contract that makes sense? Wouldn't undisputed make sense? Wouldn't being lineal make sense? I mean, I would think that makes all sense in the world. Shout out to El Chido. How's it going on, El Chido? I don't even know if El Chido Boxing wants people to call him by his real name anymore. I don't know, it's a code thing. I don't know if he's like hiding from the FBI. No sé, but we'll call him El Chido. Shout out to El Chido. But I just want to know, like, well, what's a contract that makes sense? Like, I just, it's in the same offer that Loma was going to take. Doesn't that make sense? You know what I mean? I just, that's just how I feel about it personally. You know what I mean? Let me see here. I believe, let me be sure. Fight Doctor. How's it going, brother?
Fight Doctor's in the house on Rick James status as always. What's going on, DStyle? How you feeling, man?
I'm doing good, man. So I believe Devin Haney's going to sign. I'm ready for this fight, Kambosos versus Haney. I don't see any reason why Haney won't sign this for this fight. It'll be a big fight, undisputed in Australia. You know what I mean? It's the same amount of money Lomachenko was going to take. So let's go. I'm ready. Are you ready?
Well, yeah. So, I want to see Devin Haney step up his opposition, and this is the perfect opportunity for that to happen. But boxing is a sport, but it's also a business, and sometimes you can be asked as a fighter to do things that don't make good business sense. Now, I'll give you a perfect example, and this is an extreme, but
sure.
Things like this have happened in boxing, and even worse. So Joe Louis, in order to get the crack at
Braddock?
Braddock, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
He had to give up 10% of all of his future purses to Braddock for the rest of his career.
Right.
Now, that's what you call unreasonable. But that's what Joe Louis had to do because of the politics and because of the climate of the day in order to secure his place in history. So,
which, by the way, he wouldn't even have gotten that if it's just that they don't want to who they perceived as a Nazi to get the belt.
Right, they didn't want to fight
Schmeling.
Schmeling, right, because of the war and Nazi and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So Louis, I guess, lucked out in that regard, but he had to sign this unreasonable contract in order to get the Braddock fight. So in terms of as far as Haney is concerned. If they're making all kinds of unreasonable demands, then yeah, he should push back. He should push back. Boxing is a dirty business, always has been, and he needs to think about his future. And I don't think that any fighter should be subject to unreasonable terms.
Oh, I agree 100%. No, nobody should be signing things that are unreasonable, and like you said, that is an extreme example because that wouldn't even be allowed today. But that's definitely something people should know about. That Louis had to sign 10% of his purse like forever. You know what I mean? To Braddock, but it's kind of messed up to me. Well, not kind of. It is messed up. And for those that don't know, let's just say that. There was no faith in Braddock beating Schmeling. Like nobody really felt he could beat Schmeling, and they felt if they wanted to keep the title in stateside, Louis had to get that belt. So that's kind of like, the only reason Louis got that title shot because after the reign of Jack Johnson, they didn't want like another black man to get a title shot, right? So, but he got it, and Louis made history after that. But that's a little piece of history there. Thank you for that, Fight Doctor. But if this is the same contract Lomachenko was going to agree to, right? Is it reasonable that Devin Haney should take it?
Well, not necessarily. So Devin Haney, who knows what his contract is with Hearn? Lomachenko has a separate contract with Top Rank. So, it really just all depends. What are the terms?
Well, there's one term, and you could give me your opinion, but and HLD, if you want to click on the link, come on if you want as well. But Bill Haney is going around and saying that it's not really money and it's not really like they don't find details or anything like that. It's mainly the rematch clause. They don't want a one-sided rematch clause, kind of like AJ does, Anthony Joshua, where like if he beats you, that's it. If you beat him, you got to rematch him.
Yeah, well, honestly, I think if that's the sticking point, then Bill Haney might need to check his ego at the door, because at the end of the day, Kambosos is holding all the cards. All right. Yeah, you may have the WBC trinket, but in the grander scheme of things, the WBC belt that you hold is really meaningless. Okay? Because they have the franchise belt, which, to the casual fan, they don't know the difference. So it really dilutes and almost nullifies, your position as the quote unquote true WBC champion, whoever that might be. So yeah, if the rematch clause is one way, listen, if you beat the guy, what difference does it make? All right? If you have confidence that you're going to beat the guy, and I personally would bet on Haney in this fight, then it doesn't make a difference if the rematch clause is one way. Beat the guy. Simple. Problem solved. Beat the guy. That's all you got to do. So, if that's a sticking point, then yeah, I think that Team Haney needs to reevaluate their priorities and not let this opportunity slip. Because look, if you don't take the Kambosos fight now, who knows when this type of opportunity will present itself again?
I agree, because at this point, Haney himself has said he'll be soon moving up to 140. He can't make this weight forever. I don't know if he has 1, 2, 3, 4 more fights at this weight, but it ain't going to be forever. And at that point, Kambosos will basically move on, probably fight Ryan Garcia. Maybe I don't know who he would fight. I'm thinking that's who he would fight, but Haney would have to go to 140, and 140, it's Tater's going to move up, so there's no clear-cut man at 140. I know you're more of a lineal guy than an undisputed guy, but like the belts are everywhere. You know what I mean? Like it would take a while to get to that position of establishing himself as the man right at 140, where he could do it in one fight right here at 135 pounds. What's going on, HLD?
Hey, good afternoon, guys, or good morning. I don't know where you guys are at.
So is that the? Yeah, it's 10 a.m. here. Is that the sticking point that Haney has? Is that the main thing for Bill? That is the rematch clause.
I think it would be the sticking point, guys, but it's not only from Bill. I think it's a sticking point for Eddie Hearn. He does this with all of his guys. He always has rematch clauses, but in this case, Lomachenko, they had the same deal from the beginning as of February. Just one guy played around with it, and the other guy said pop, just dotted line. And so I think it's one of maybe a couple other things that may be of issue, but I think it's a main issue.
Okay, and you said this was on the Boxing Voice where he was complaining about it.
Eddie Hearn always has that. That's his thing. You have to have rematch clauses. Other sticking points. Mm-hmm. Look, I mean, if you guys go by the history of how they go about doing, stipulations and stuff. For example, when they first offered Jojo Diaz his contract, they lowballed him at $1 million when he had a $1.5 million deal on the table. And then after they finally matched it, then it took like another week, and Jojo was like, "Yo, I already signed it. What's all these other damn stipulations and this and that? Let's make this fight happen." So they make things difficult. They really do make things difficult to fight the elite better fighters. You don't hear those issues with Linares. You didn't have those issues with Gamboa. But when it comes to guys that are going to be, there's always something. So, I think Kambosos gave him. He announced it's a 3-day window that they got to sign this deal.
Now, a lot of this is just kind of like, as fans, we got to put the pieces together because not like they make this stuff public, but in my opinion, if Devin Haney turns down this contract, I do believe both sides should make whatever they offered public. You know what I mean? Like at this point, because I'm tired of the hearsay. I'm tired of I offered something good, he offered something bad, and I do like what Kambosos needs to do, in my opinion, because I do believe he offered the same thing he offered Loma, is show everybody both contracts and show them that it's the same contract. Just one just says Haney, one says Lomachenko, right? Because that would put everything to bed, right? But I want to ask you this: with all that said, HLD, do you believe Haney will sign on the dotted line?
Right now, if you tell me right now, I'm 70% saying that he won't.
70% no?
No.
Why is that? What is it that? Why is that your position? Why no optimism? Like, why don't you believe that Haney will sign?
Because of the way DHP moves. I mean, we wouldn't even have the discussion had they made the meeting with Bob last June, make a fight with Lomachenko, take him off the chessboard, and he'd be the only piece standing to make a fight right now. But they didn't. You know, there's other things that they could have done in the past of the way they move to really put themselves in position where there's no question or doubt. But It's always fighting the Gamboas. It's paying step aside money to Fortuna so he can have an exemption to fight Linares. You know, it's missing the meeting with Bob. It's you wanted to, just what, 4 months ago, or was it when the Teofimo thing? And hey, man, go make the petition. You can't fight the franchise champion. Oh, I can't make him. All this time. Well, then, go to Cancun, petition, just like Mauricio Suleiman said, to become Teofimo's mandatory if they both win their fights at that time. No, they didn't do that. Are we having is there now any talk about, oh, I can't make the franchise champion fight me? Well, I mean, aren't they in contracts? You see, I mean, so it's just the way they move. It's always excuses. It's always something, and it doesn't show to me boss moves. And so it's always on the back end. Oh, now I'll match whatever Lomachenko takes. Well, you had the first crack at this deal since December, and you fumbled it.
Right.
So I mean, it's just the way they move. That's why. Now, do I hope it happens? Absolutely. I hope it does happen. But as far as optimism, no, I'm about only 70% that it won't, and we'll see. Prove me wrong. I'd like to see this fight happen.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. You know what I mean? But I will say this: I believe he's going to sign. Fight Doctor, do you believe he's going to sign?
Well, I don't know. Listen, the sad reality is that you can have a good fighter who's a bad businessman. And maybe perhaps, Team Haney makes bad business decisions. Excellent fighter, but, I would think that hopefully somebody within Team Haney can recognize that perhaps they don't have the bargaining power that maybe perhaps they think they should have, and realize that maybe perhaps this is the best deal we can get. A tremendous opportunity for Devin Haney to solidify himself as the #1 lightweight in the world. So, listen, you have to play the B side, and unfortunately, that's your position in this equation. So, look, life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Just go and beat the man. And guess what? You are now in the driver's seat. Just beat the man. So hopefully that happens. Hopefully, we get to see this fight. We need to see this fight. This is a fight boxing needs, the lightweight division needs. All this ducking and carrying on that's been going on at 135 and in boxing in general needs to stop. It's become infectious, and it's killing the sport, and it's just insane crazy, the amount of ducking going on. So it needs to stop, and this is a fight that needs to happen for the sake of boxing. So hopefully we can see this fight.
The way I see it is, I think Devin Haney deserves the opportunity to make this fight happen. I believe he will. I believe we're going to get this fight. I think a lot of the concerns people have are going to be a moot point once the fight's official, right? It'll happen in Australia, right? And I would favor Haney in that fight. I think he would be the favorite. And something just tells me that Haney wants this, right? At least I want to believe that Haney wants this opportunity to become undisputed champion. Whether you believe Kambosos is undisputed already or not is irrelevant. Like, if they both fight, the winner's going to be undisputed regardless of how you feel. And at the end of the day, that is something that that I want to see. I want to see Haney sign a contract. He's been sent the contract. It's the same offer that Lomachenko was going to accept. I don't believe a rematch clause should be a reason not to sign. I just don't feel that way. It's time for him to sign it, and I do believe he's going to sign it. Okay, if people want to say I'm being falsely optimistic, it is what it is. I'm going to choose to be optimistic in this case. Now the question is, should the winner fight Lomachenko? What do you guys think about that? Like, should the winner fight Loma?
Well, it depends how this contract is, right? If there's a rematch, one hometown rematch clause, and it's Haney who wins, well, after this, if there's a 2-fight deal that ends up happening, I believe the winner should fight Lomachenko. However, we also do know for a fact, I think Devin Haney's got this one fight he just left at 135. I don't think he could make another 135 later this year. The fact is the kid has grown another inch last year, so he's taller, he's bigger, he's getting older, and so it's just a fact that this weight, and we've already seen what this weight cutting is doing to our fighters in the past year. It's detrimental, and so I really hope, regardless of the fact that they do look out for his better interest and his health, and whatever happens here, then later on this year they do move up to 140, and don't let us see what happened to Burchell, to Taylor, to Teofimo, to some of these other fighters who've had some serious issues, or like Munguia. We saw Munguia pass out. You know what I mean? Ortiz. We don't need this. This extreme weight cutting needs to stop. So I think, should the winner get that crack at it? Yeah, if it's able to happen. But in Haney's case, if he cannot make another fight at 140, I will not hold that against him. I just do expect then they fight some top opposition at 140 and get going with that part.
Okay, all right. Bye, Doctor. Do you think Loma should fight the winner of this fight, in your opinion, or is Loma not owed anything? Like, how do you feel about it?
Well, I don't think Lomachenko is owed anything. But is he a worthy contender? Is he a worthy challenger? Sure. But the winner of this fight, if they were to fight Ryan Garcia or Teofimo Lopez, I would be equally happy with those fights. I'll put it to you this way. I don't think there's a mandate for the winner of this fight, of this proposed fight, to fight Lomachenko. I don't think there's a mandate there. No.
Actually, there is. Lomachenko is the mandatory.
Is that for the WBO?
Yeah, he's the mandatory.
Yeah, because if you're with Top Rank, you know what they do with Top Rank. They pull those strings. You become undisputed. You become a mandatory right away with the WBO. So, but
I'm just saying.
Well, that's true though. What I'm saying, like, it just every Top Rank fighter just becomes a mandatory with the WBO. Like it's just, it is what it is. But I think for a while, like Don King used to kind of control the IBF, and it is what it is. But I do think public opinion is going to want the winner of this fight to fight Loma, though. Like, if the winner of this fight does not fight Loma, I think they'll get some backlash from the public, you know. But I know Fight Doctor probably doesn't care what the public thinks, right?
Well, listen, what the public thinks has a direct relation with a fighter's bottom line. And honestly, even though I don't feel that there's a mandate for Lomachenko to fight the winner of Kambosos and Devin Haney, I think in terms of its marketability, I think in terms of public sympathy, I think in terms of the current political climate, the way that the world is working right now, the politics favor heavily Lomachenko, especially in terms of the amount of capital that could potentially be generated from a fight with Lomachenko, only because of what's going on in the world right now. So I think it would be smart for the winner of this fight to consider a Lomachenko fight contact, only because it would be probably what's best for their bottom line.
All right, you were cutting off a little bit at the end there, brother, but sounded like robotic or something like that. I don't know if that was just me. Did you hear that too?
I thought I didn't know if it was me. I was checking my I was checking my internet, but I understood what he was saying.
But I got most of what he said for sure. I believe that Devin Haney's going to sign. I believe that it's kind of like when. Like, I remember I kept doubting Caleb Plant. I said, okay, Caleb playing and lose shit. Caleb don't want this fight. He's making all these excuses. He's talking the talk, but when it comes down to it, he ain't going to sign to fight Canelo. And then he surprised me, right? He surprised me, and he signed, and then shout out and he did, right? And I remember Chief Funky was like, he's got to do it, right? I mean, why wouldn't he do it? That's the stance I'm taking here. Like why wouldn't Devin Haney do it? You know, other than having some like you know, some dumb offer or something, why wouldn't he do it? You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, you know, and that's the thing. I mean, I know that we don't know exactly what. I mean, look, man, these are professional, man. Yeah, there's just some shading that goes on in the biz, but it's pretty straightforward, and there's not going to be no bait and switch type of thing. It is what it is. I mean, yeah, we could be speculative of a lot of things, but I mean, this is they're professionals, and you know, I don't they're not some hood guys, you know what I mean, trying to hustle somebody totally like that. They do the hustling on the top ends of stuff at, you know, with the back end of the deals maybe, but this is a straightforward contract. I don't think there's much of a difference between the two besides the network or something to that effect, but as far as the money goes and the terms in itself per fighter, I think it's going to be the same. I do know that the Devin is not fully vaccinated. I do know that Bill Haney is not vaccinated at all. We're we're about like 9 weeks out from this fight. So can that be another issue? So there's logistical things that can be an issue. Another thing I do know that Lomachenko agreed to doing, and I don't know if it was part of the terms or it was just a voluntary thing, was that Lomachenko said he would do his 8-week training in Australia to be sure that he's in the country, just in case there's any COVID shutdown. He is there to make the fight happen. So I don't know if that's another sticking point or not, but I do know that was also announced by Team Lomachenko.
Okay, all right. Well, look, I mean, it is what it is. He's kind of stuck where he's at, right, when it comes to Lomachenko. But shout out to Calix, by the way. Everybody needs to follow Calix on Twitter. You know, he has little viral videos on there. But all I know is this, okay? Like, all I know is that Lomachenko, okay, is doing what he needs to do. Okay, I don't know if I don't know if how long this war's going to be. I have no idea. It could end next week. It can end in a year. I don't know, right? But right now, Haney, Kambosos is the fight to make. If this fight doesn't happen, though, let's say Haney doesn't sign, whether it's just fight or not, are you guys okay with a Ryan Garcia fight with Kambosos?
If it's the next best fighter out there that's available to do so, you know what I mean, in the pecking order of what's in the landscape, yeah, I wouldn't mind it, because then, you know, it's at least a top 5 guy or a top 10 guy. So I mean, if that's where where it falls, but don't be surprised if Usyk ends up taking this fight. So that means he's gonna leave Ukraine to fight AJ for the rematch, and Haney does not sign. That Lomachenko then next week says, you know what, I'll come back and I'll leave and I'll fight you. You know what I mean? Change his mind to do it. So I mean, this story hasn't really ended. But if it's Ryan Garcia as the next best guy available in the pecking order, then yeah, I wouldn't mind it, as long as just a top opposition guy who is the next in line. You know, and yeah, that'll be fine. That'll be fine with me.
If I thought, do you agree with that, or do you think there's other guys at 135 that he could fight? I don't know what happened. You're on mute, by the way. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I'm over here having internet issues. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, because the last part of HLD's statement, I didn't catch that.
I was saying that if Ryan Garcia, let's say Haney does not sign, and then, you know, if Ryan Garcia is the next best opposition available in the landscape at 135 to fight Kambosos, then I wouldn't mind it. It is what it is, you know. But it needs to be, whoever it is, needs to be the next best guy. That's all. That's, you know, as far as competition wise for me, that would make sense. It can't be no Maxie Hughes. Yeah, that's all I'm trying to say. It's got to be the next best guy in the top 10.
Yeah, I certainly agree. All the ducking and dodging that's been going. Listen, what's been going on the last couple of years at 135 is beyond ridiculous. Okay, you've got the top guys in the division who have essentially refused to fight each other, with the exception of Lopez and Lomachenko, right? So these guys need to fight each other. You know, it's been duck season for way too long. We need to turn in our duck licenses and turn in our shotguns, and these guys need to start fighting each other. So yeah, I agree. It needs to be a Garcia. It needs to be whoever wins this fight needs to fight a Ryan Garcia or a Lomachenko or Teofimo Lopez whenever he decides to come out of retirement. Yeah, it needs to be one of the top guys, no question.
Okay. Well, that's that. I mean, you know,
I do think that Ryan Garcia would be out of this fight, though, because he's fighting here next week or so.
Yeah, but like they could fight in August or something. Like,
no, well, they're not. The fight is already the fight date is already set.
No. What I'm saying is he could still fight Kambosos in August, September, or something like that. You could fight him in the late summer or early fall.
But then who does? Let's say Haney doesn't sign now. Who does he fight next June 5th?
He could, I mean, he could do a tune-up, I guess.
He still would have to fight a top 15 opposition.
You would think so, but is he?
Well, no, that's the rules with the belts. That's what it is. You got to, if you're going to defend your belts, even if it's a voluntary defense, it's got to be with a top 15 opponent.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking the top 15 across 4 sanctioning bodies, right? So a lot of the names are the same, but a lot of them are not. So you're talking about, like, it's really the top 40, top 50. You know what I mean?
Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. In reality, it becomes that. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, can I chime in on that real quick?
Sure.
I've found that over the years, that whole rule about having to fight someone in the top 15 really is doesn't carry a lot of water. Meaning, you can have a guy who, let's say, wins a title or is defending a title, and he's looking to take a tune-up. Maybe he's been laid off for a while or whatever it might be. And the guy he wants to fight, there'll be rumbles about he wants to fight this particular guy who's not ranked in the top 15. Well, all of a sudden, now that the champion is mentioning this guy's name, will find his way into the top 15 of said organization. So even though that's a rule, I've seen instances where that rule hasn't really meant a whole lot.
True. Well, what about Isaac Cruz? I think Isaac Cruz might beat Kambosos, in my opinion. But I mean, that's a fight they can make.
Yeah, no question.
I think, you know what? I think I would favor Isaac Cruz in that fight against Kambosos. I don't think Kambosos could keep Isaac Cruz off of him. Kambosos would have to fight a very defensive fight. He's very aggressive, and I think Isaac Cruz might beat him, to be honest with you.
I wouldn't mind it being, Michael Rivera, Camarón Cepeda. These are undefeated fighters.
That's another fighter. Cepeda has a lot of power. He's very similar to Isaac Cruz, but I don't know. I think a lot of people are looking at Kambosos and they're like, I think I could beat that guy. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's how they look at him. And I'll be honest. I think that's why I just don't see Haney not signing to fight him, because I think Haney knows he would be the favorite in the fight. And
it's got to be overwhelming for a young fighter. I mean, look, going all the way to Australia. Here's a 23-year-old man who's never been outside of, you know what I mean, and having to go to maybe emotionally or psychologically it's an inner battle that, because it's not going to be easy to have to walk in total hostile territory, if you will, to make this happen. So it's definitely to the advantage of Kambosos fighting a younger man to have to do this. But it also speaks, the tougher the battle, the sweeter the victory. And if Haney wants this, to me, at least for me, he wants this respect. He wants to earn that glory and that honor. Yo, man, there's no better setup than this right now. To go over there.
That's why I believe the fight's going to happen.
Let's hope.
Yeah, I think Haney's going to sign.
I hear everything like they were saying. I'm hearing everything but signing on the dotted line. Make it happen.
Sometimes guys don't sign. Like to give you an example, right? When Canelo hadn't signed yet, and Coppinger came out and said, "Hey, the fight with Bivol is and Gennady Golovkin is a done deal," and Canelo came out and said, "You're lying," you know what I mean? Because it's not done yet. And Coppinger responded to him saying, "Well, because Gennady Golovkin hasn't accepted the terms yet," and Canelo said, "No, I haven't accepted the terms yet." Right? There's always a little nitty gritty, little details like that. A lot of us fans don't care about that maybe they're kind of sorting out, and maybe that's what it is. And maybe it's just kind of like it took Canelo a couple of days to just finalize it, just to make sure that his lawyers looked through everything, right? And so the same thing that happened with him and Golden Boy doesn't happen again. Maybe Devin Haney just, it would give him the benefit of the doubt. They're just kind of combing through everything, making sure everything is straight, and then they're going to sign a contract, right?
I give them till this week. I think they have.
And he's probably giving them a deadline. All right.
Well, Kambosos telling me, hey, Lou DiBella gave him 3 days because they need to then find the next opponent. Who's it gonna be? So 3 days would be Thursday. I'm saying if by the end of this week we don't have an announcement, expect that this is already heading into the wrong direction. So I'll give it optimistically till this week. And if by Friday it's not really done, I think expect the contrary, that something else is going to happen.
I don't know. This could go downhill, right? Like if the Haney sent a counter offer, I mean, this thing could go downhill immediately. But we're going to see. Hey, I want to thank you guys for joining me. Of course, shout out to the chat, Ashley Knuckles, Nando Llamas, all of you guys. Black and Brown was in the chat. Shout out to you guys. Look, Once again, HLD, Fight Doctor, anything else you guys want to add before I wrap this one up?
No, D-Style, man. We keep on tuning in, man. Hit the like button, subscribe. Keep it boxing like my man says. Hey, man, peace out. God bless everyone.
Peace out. Fight Doctor, anything else you want to add, brother?
Shout out to D-Style. Brother, I'm going to adopt your optimism, and I'm going to look forward to this fight being announced soon. This is a fight that the lightweight division needs. This is a fight that boxing needs. So, yeah, hit that like button, subscribe. ACP is in the house, and I'm out.
There we go, everybody. Hey, thanks so much to Fight Doctor and HLD, all that good stuff, and to the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Now, look, if I put the link out there, guys, you gotta show me who you are, because there's a lot of weirdos out here. There's dudes that like download weird stuff, like they use their phone to like download weird shit, and then they try to troll people by showing weird shit when you're live, right? So it doesn't mean that the person trying to come on is doing that, but that's just an unfortunate situation that we're in. Okay, I'm just here to talk some boxing. That's all I'm here to do. So if you want to talk boxing, well, I'll talk boxing with anybody all day. If you're here to play games, I'm not here to play games. Like, you know what I mean? You go play games, little kid games somewhere else. Okay, the little kid area is over there. Go over there. All right, wherever that is. But I'm here to talk some boxing. That's all I'm here to do. All right. It's if you're asked to show your face backstage, because I don't know who you are, you got to show your face. It is what it is. Okay. You can get mad about it. If you don't like it, you can go cry on somebody's shoulder about it. Go rant about it on Discord or some shit. Go do whatever you want. Okay. I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna let you know right now. Okay. You could punch the air. You could get mad. You could do whatever you want. That's the way it is. All right. This is DStyleBoxing, ladies and gentlemen.